Let me ask you a question. Can you afford not to rank on Google? Now, by the end of this short presentation, that's going to be a rhetorical question. In the meantime, I've got a lot of cool things for you, so let's get started. My name is Liam S. Maynard. I'm president of Maynard Marketing. Just a brief overview. We are a premier SEO services provider and internet marketing consulting agency that services businesses and professional clients throughout Canada and the United States. Our company utilizes a proven ranking system for ranking keywords on page 1 of Google, including ranking top keywords on page 1 in Google Maps for any local search. These keywords receive thousands of monthly searches that produce hundreds of monthly phone calls for our clients. And a percentage of those phone calls convert to sales and increase revenues and profits. So if that sounds appealing to you, you're in the right place at the right time. So be sure to tune out all distractions, and including your cell phone, social media, and the like. Have a pen and paper or a Word doc handy, and get ready to see why your business absolutely needs to rank on page 1 of Google and cannot afford not to. So here we have a chart of lead generation in regards to business. So SEO, or search engine optimization, is clearly the winner here with 57%. Pay-per-click 25%, and social media comes in at 18% for lead generation. But I should tell you that pay-per-click is often more expensive than SEO when done properly. Now, if we look at business to consumer, it's a similar story. So 41% for SEO, 34% for pay-per-click, and only 25% for social media. Now, we all know that Google is the king in terms of search engines. Everyone goes to Google. 5.5 billion searches a day as of 2015. So when people search on Google, 91.5% of clicks occur on page 1 of the search results. This should not come as a major surprise to you, which necessarily means that 8.5% of clicks happen on page 2 of the search results and beyond. So people will go to Google, they'll type in Toronto divorce lawyer or whatever it is they're looking for, and they'll look at the page 1 results over 90% of the time. That's where all the click-through rates are. Now, of those page 1 results, 75.7% of first page clicks are on the first top 5 results. So not only will they just go to page 1, they'll often just look at the first half of the first page most of the time. So the initial takeaways would be SEO is the key driver of online lead generation. Ranking on page 1 of Google is absolutely imperative, and your SEO ranking goal should be the top 3 results. But why? So why do you need to rank on page 1 of Google, and much preferably in the top 3 results? Because when you rank on page 1 of Google, you can generate more online traffic, more visitors to your website, more leads, more qualified leads, more sales, more revenue, and more profits. In other words, more money for you in your pocket. So the higher your page 1 ranking, the bigger your potential to dominate your market and, of course, crush your competition. But what if you're not ranking on page 1 of Google? Who is? Well, if you're not ranking, then it would follow that your competition is, which means that they and not you are in a prime position to generate more online traffic, more website visitors, more leads, more qualified leads, more sales, more revenue, and more profit. Why? So why is all this so important, and why do you need to rank on page 1 of Google? Well, because there's a cost to not ranking on page 1 of Google. This is a cost that can be calculated. This does not surprise me. Now, there's a very, very good chance that you did not even know there is a way to calculate the estimated value of any keyword in any position on page 1 of Google, and that's okay. But why? Why don't you know? Well, wouldn't you want to know what your profit potential is if you're investing or considering investing in SEO? Unfortunately, and rather sad, most so-called SEO experts have no idea how to calculate the value of any keyword on page 1 of Google, and worse yet, they have no clue how to calculate the estimated value of a keyword. Now, how many so-called SEO professionals or experts have you either retained or are currently retaining, have talked to, received emails or marketing materials from, and or heard a sales pitch from, who have calculated the estimated value of a keyword they're attempting to rank or intend to rank on page 1 of Google for you? How many have even mentioned the potential value of any one of your keywords? Very, very few, if any at all, would be my educated guess. Don't you think it would be vitally important to know the potential value of a keyword you're trying to rank on page 1 of Google before trying to rank it or paying someone to try and rank it for you? Of course it would. That being the case, then why do a vast majority of SEO consultants never calculate that value for you, the estimated value of your keywords on page 1 of Google, or even mention it to you? A vast majority of SEO consultants have absolutely no clue how to calculate a keyword's value, and worse yet, these same SEO consultants very likely have absolutely no clue how to find the right resources to run or have someone run your keyword valuation for you. So the next time you talk to your current SEO consultant and or any other consultant trying to sell you their SEO services, ask them, what's the potential value for ranking my keyword on page 1 of Google for anywhere from number 1 to number 10? What do you think the response might be? After a few ums and clearings of the throat, you'll already know before they say anything that they do not know how to calculate the estimated keyword value, or worse, they have no idea what you're talking about. And let's even assume that they did know, which is highly unlikely. Why did you have to be the one who brought it up? Why did you have to bring up this key question in the first place? Don't you think that any SEO consultant worth their weight should already know how to do this and had probably already done it for you, so that they can tell the potential value of any one of your keywords? This puts you in a position to make an informed decision whether it seems worthwhile to have SEO work performed on any specific keyword, and the results you might estimate, assuming all of your assumptions are accurate, of course. At this point, you should be seeing red. Red is in red flags. But why? Because if an SEO consultant can't tell you the estimated value of any keyword they're ranking or trying to rank or want to rank for you, how can they even recommend to you which keywords to even rank for in the first place? Sure, there'll be some obvious keywords, but even so, how can an SEO consultant even begin to understand how to price their services if they don't even have a clue what your potential revenue might be if they get you ranked on page 1 of Google for your keywords? How could you determine the potential revenue or return on investment without such vital information? It's akin to flying blind, but it doesn't have to be that way. I use an software tool to estimate the value of ranking any competitive keyword on page 1 of Google, and can run this calculation for virtually any scenario based on certain assumptions, including your own metrics if available, for the most accurate estimates. So estimating the value of ranking on page 1 of Google. Well, we do have an estimation software. Let's do some quick but very important calculations that you've probably never seen before but wish you had. So, to see how much in potential lost revenue you may have if your competitors are ranking on page 1 of Google and you're not. As an example, let's say your competitors have one keyword with a monthly search volume of, say, 1,000 unique visitors per month. Now, let's assume the following estimated monthly click distribution. So, using the numbers we had before, that would mean there was 325 clicks for a first position ranking, 76 for a second position, and 114 for a third, and you can read the rest here. Annualized, that turns into 3,900 for a first position ranking, 2,112 for a second position, and 1,368 for a third, and the rest going down following from that. So let's further assume that of those clicks, so clicks being, people came to your website, let's assume that 20% of them are qualified leads. In other words, they actually reach out to you in some fashion. That would mean that you'd have 65 qualified leads for a number 1 ranking, 35 for a month for a third ranking, and 23 a month for a third ranking. Annualized, that turns into 780 qualified leads for a number 1 ranking, 422 for a number 2 position ranking, and 274 for a third position ranking, and so on down the list. So let's next assume that a mere 10% of qualified leads retain one of your competitors for their goods and or services versus yours, and that's probably quite conservative considering if someone has already gone to the bother of searching on Google and reached out to a specific company and they have a problem, which is the only reason that they would do that, they're most likely there's going to be higher than 10%, but let's just use 10% for argument's sake. In other words, 10% of qualified leads are converted into a sale. So, What would that turn into? Well, using our numbers previously, that would necessarily mean that there was 6.5 new clients for a number 1 ranking per month, 3.5 for a number 2 ranking, and 2.3 for a number 3 ranking, and so on down the list. Annualized, that turns into 78 new clients for a number 1 ranking, 42 new clients for a number 2 ranking, and 27 clients a month for a number 2 ranking, and so on down the line. So next we need to estimate the lifetime value of your client. So this is how much money you think you would actually receive in your business from a client over the lifetime of that relationship. So let's say that you're a personal injury lawyer, and that each new case is worth about $50,000 for your competitors. Maybe your lifetime client value is higher or lower than this. So if 25,000 works better for you, use that. If you think 5,000 is more reasonable, use that. But you can adjust based on what you think is reasonable for you. We'll use 50,000 here. Using our previous example, that would mean that the monthly revenue would be $325,000 for a number 1 ranking, $175,000 added to the business for a number 2 ranking, and $115,000 from that client added for a number 3 ranking. And that's just using our examples. Annualized, though, that turns into $3.9 million for a number 1 ranking, $2.1 million added to the business for a number 2 ranking, and $1.35 million added to the business per month for a number 2 ranking. So, of course, to be fair, I must tell you that the preceding examples are only estimates, potential sales and revenue numbers that are for informational purposes only. Even though they are only for hypothetical figures, they actually are something much more than that. They reveal what is so very possible in terms of new sales and revenues generated only if you're ranking on the first page of Google. So in our example, ranking first on page 1 of Google has a potential annual revenue of $3.9 million. In our example, ranking last or 10th on page 1 of Google has a potential revenue of $300,000. Well, that's only 10 keywords with some pretty easy assumptions. Just imagine what the potential value is for all your keywords. Now, let me take this thought process one step further. What if you had multiple page 1 rankings like this example? So this is blurred out for informational purposes only, but the idea here is, what if you were ranked on more than one spot for more than one keyword? Now, that's what I call total market domination. So I ask you again, can you afford not to rank on the first page of Google? Now, the preceding calculations were based on certain assumptions, and only an example of what is possible and not a guarantee of any kind. However, the important takeaway for you is to understand that if you're not ranking on page 1 of Google, you're not banking. If you're not ranking, you're not banking. That you and your business are potentially losing out on substantial revenues just waiting for you to grab. After all, someone will be generating the online traffic, clicks, leads, phone calls, emails, sales, and revenue from ranking on page 1 of Google for your keywords. So, make sure that someone is you and your business as soon as possible. Otherwise, your competitors will have the upper hand and your business will suffer. With the type of potential lost revenues you see are possible when you don't rank on page 1 of Google, I have to ask you, can you afford not to rank on page 1 of Google? This comes right back to our first question at the beginning of the presentation. You and I both know the answer to that question, don't we? So what should your next step be? Well, you've got 2 choices. One, you can do nothing and leave the fate of your business to chance, or you can schedule a free, no-obligation keyword valuation and analysis now. To find out the estimated value of your keywords if you were ranking on page 1 of Google instead of your competition. Plus, I will provide you with a game plan for your keywords to show up on page 1 of Google. Now, I'm looking for a few qualified clients. The type of clients that I work for are businesses who want to generate more online traffic, leads, qualified leads, phone calls, emails, sales, and revenue. These are businesses who are ready to invest now, and they're businesses who do not penny pinch or delay any key decisions, because I'll be working with someone in your industry. It'll either be you or your competitors. So you need to pick a day and time for us to speak as soon as possible, as I work on an exclusive basis and my time and client roster space are very limited, and once my roster fills up, it can take several months before another spot becomes available. So if your business is right for this opportunity, then I'll send you a free keyword valuation analysis to determine how much money is actually on the table for you. So go ahead and schedule your free no obligation keyword valuation and analysis now before your competition does. So get started immediately and beat your competition. You can call or email me at the following numbers. 604-536-5173. This is in Canada. And email liam@liammaynard.com. So thank you for taking valuable time out of your day to watch this presentation, and I look forward to speaking with you soon.